What's up, this Jay-Z.
Hey yo, this is Eminem.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Drizzy Drake.
Yo, what's up? This is Usher.
This is Big Snoop D-O double G.
Man, it's your boy T-Scoop.
You know it's some GS boys.
Yeah, man, it's Spice One.
This is your boy, Bad Boy Billy Sly.
Hey yo, wings up, this your boy Juris.
Yo, what up? It's the one and only Murphy Lee.
Yo, this your boy B-Mac Banks.
That's right, it's your boy Havoc the Mouthpiece from the South Central Cartel.
This is Steve Arrington, a.k.a. The Invade, only on KFSM Radio.
KFSM Radio.
On KFSM.
KFSM Radio.
KFSM Radio.
On KFSM Radio.
KFSM. It's your radio station. KFSM radio station. KFSM radio station. I'm tuning in.
For 3, 2, 1, we're online.
Good evening, everyone. This is Queen V with KFSM Radio, talking to Jaguar Beckford. How are you this evening?
I am absolutely amazing. Looking forward to our discussion this evening.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right in New York City, born, bred, raised. First time that I left pretty much for school was going away to law school, which wasn't too far, 8 hours away. Went up to the University of Buffalo and stayed up there in the cold for 3 years.
So what made you become an attorney? I mean, because you're an attorney, right?
I practiced law in New York for over 17 years. Now,
Okay.
we're gonna have our moments where we're gonna redefine words and language because kind of getting behind what these words mean and how these words have trapped us in various parts of life. You know, the etymology of the word attorney is a turn. And literally, when we find out what that word means, most people would never want an attorney. So we can use the word lawyer, which is someone who has gone to law school, has been trained in what they call legalese. And so what made me want to get into law, and this was from the time I was about 9 years old, was pretty much watching Perry Mason.
Wow.
I love the way that the courtroom setting was. I love his investigatory type of techniques, the way that he paid attention to detail, and the way he would set a case up, knowing exactly when and where and how he was going to do this presentment of information that he gathered. And so even as a small child, my eyes have always seen what the obvious doesn't, and I could see so much during that time. It's even goes further because I was talking to my son the other day and I said, you know, there's one episode of Perry Mason and there's a quote, Negro judge that sits on the bench and he never spoke. And I remember running to my mother saying, there's a Negro judge on Perry Mason, but mother, he's not saying anything. He hasn't said a word. And do you know they had him performing this task and never spoke. And it wasn't until later that I realized that during that time, which is, you know, 1960s going into the 70s, they could not have a Negro man who was supposed to have a superior intellect from a judicial perspective to make the decisions about the legal arguments of Perry Mason and that district attorney. And it wasn't until recent that it really came into fruition what the purpose was and how they are suddenly always putting things in front of us, right in plain sight.
I watched Perry Mason as a child. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know,
and I know the episode.
Yes.
And I never knew that. So you taught me something.
Yes, because we're so passive in what we consider entertainment to be. Television, television. It is telling you lies, but it tells it to you in real time. and it tells it to you
Mm-hmm.
the way that it wants to. And so it's really manipulating our minds. And I'm so happy that you saw it because I just couldn't believe, why they presented it that way. My mother wasn't able to explain it to me either, but I still love Perry Mason. But what it caused me to idolize someone who didn't look like me. And so we didn't have a lot of those types of role models, but it
Mm-mm.
really taught me a lot, taught me
Right.
a lot. Yeah.
And and that wasn't the only show. I mean, there were other shows that kind of did the same thing, where you saw people of color, but they didn't say much.
Hmm.
And
Right.
if they said something, they only repeated what the other person said.
Absolutely. And when you get into the world of production, when you look at television and you look at scripting, like when you write a script, you have to write directions. You have to put in things that the people who are managing the camera angles, so on and so forth. So you have to script these voice scripting things that are put into a script. And so I can imagine it
Mhm.
says a judge sits on the bench and he looks forward with a stern look, but he never says anything. And I'm like, so you went and casted for that and realized that you were going to be sitting up there throughout this whole filming and not saying a word. And so
Not one
that's what
word.
they do. They put
Yeah.
things in plain sight, and we're so dumbed down that we don't catch most of it. And later on, we're going to talk a little bit about what that is from the court perspective, because you'll find out a little bit more about what I do. And we started a court watchers program, and it's
Oh,
about the art of watching what is taking place, but not just seeing with our eyes, because we don't see what we see when we see with our eyes. Our senses deceive us. Our auditory sense deceives us. And typically, things are put in front of us in such a way that what we think we're seeing, we're not seeing at all. And a prime example of that is if I take one scene and I put 10 photographers and say, I want you to shoot that sunset over there where the tree is. Everyone's looking at the same position. Everyone sees the tree, everyone sees the sunset. But watch how the perspectives change. One person can get on the ground and shoot on an upward trajectory. One person can step on a ladder. One person can focus on the way that the angle of light pierces through the tree, where everyone else is more one dimensional. And she says, take that picture, so I'll take that picture. They're all seeing the same thing, but when we look at
right,
the end results, they've all given them different interpretation. That's what law is about.
right. There's another show. There's a man, he has like OCD and
Monk.
Monk. Yes. That was another show that I like to watch because his perspective on the little things
Hmm.
that he saw that made him distinguish between what he saw and what other people didn't see.
That's right. And they all walk in the same crime scene, right?
Right.
Hmm.
And everybody's, well, how did you know that? And he'd say something about um that it was moved. I saw a scratch on the floor.
That's right.
Um, just little things. It's like little, even watching the TV, you would even miss it until he said it.
Right.
Just little things.
Actually, television and movies are designed that they have to set that up for you. So they showed you in advance exactly what he was going to bring to everyone's attention. Uh, Film and television is designed the same way. They set up a scene, they set up the scene for the oratory deliverances that are about to come, and it can't trick the audience. So somewhere it's there. but it's so quick in how it's presented. Most of the time we miss it because we're watching for entertainment value. When we learn
Right.
to use our eyes in a more descriptive manner, more in depth, we find out more of what it is we don't see. And you're right. You can see something has been dragged. You can see there's a shadow, there's dust in one place. And another show that is really good at that is it's called Elementary, and it deals with
Yes.
the modern Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Hmm.
And yeah, so Sherlock Holmes was one of the shows that I really enjoyed as much. And I think a lot of that was some of my early training and what it was to actually go into the practice of law. When I started, I had a couple of scholarships. I got a full scholarship to go to law school. And
Oh.
yeah, and so I'm also a creative. We haven't even gotten to that yet, but I actually sold hand-painted jeans in law school between 75 and $125. I made jewelry, and people always had this issue with the fact that I demonstrated creative talent, but at the same time was extremely well versed in the capture of law. I was good at it. I was one of two students that had what was called a special practice order. And this was the second department in Rochester, the Supreme Court Appellate Division, that gave two students, only two students out of over 400 graduating class, they gave two students the honor to practice under the supervision of attorneys. So they rotated us through various types of uh, legal services, a public defender's office, and so forth. And we got about 6 months experience in various areas of law. By the time I came out of law school, well, let's go back. I had cut off all my hair and I was starting
Oh.
locks. This was 1990. I was starting locks. And everyone's like, how are you going to get a job? And how are you going to do this? And I was never concerned about conformity, ever. And by the time I graduated, I was seasoned. I could go to a job and they could send me to court the next day. No one walks out of law school and goes into court by themselves. But literally, I could do that. And while I was practicing, the judge would I dress better than the lawyers. I dress better than the lawyers I worked with. So when they saw me, they saw my bags, my pens, my suits. It didn't matter. They had no idea they were standing against a law student. And the attorneys would go out in the hallway and work on other cases and things like that. And the judge would hear me and he would let me make whatever the legal argument was or the equitable argument. And so by the time I came out, I was very seasoned. I would go to interviews and I would do things like I would create a legal brief, and it was my resume with a cover letter, and I would have people go serve it to the companies to make sure it got in the hand of the person that I wanted. But see, it was my
Wow.
creative mind that allowed me to come up with that. Everyone else is just sending in a resume, taking it in. No, that person got served my resume with a blue back on it. And by the time they pulled 2 pages, they're like, I would get a call and there's like, I had to see who came up with this. Can you come for an interview? And literally in my interviews, I would let them finish interviewing me. And then I would ask, do you mind if we change seats? And they're like, excuse me? I said, as important as it is for you to know if I'm a fit for this company, I need to know if you're a fit for me. I need to know if you're going to be concerned with my emotional growth, my
Amen.
development, my so and so. And it was only 2 times I got turned down from that request. And that told me right
Okay.
away, I wouldn't want to work there, you know?
Right. So is that how you met Johannan Vigoda,
Uh,
Stevie Wonder's attorney?
No, well, when I came out of law school, actually before law school, I worked for a company called Festival Productions.
Okay.
Festival Productions produces the largest jazz festivals around the world. Newport Jazz Festival, Saratoga Spring, Nice Jazz Festival. And so I worked with a woman named Marie Louise St. Louis, and she was the vice president of festival. And so when I was telling them I wanted to go to law school, what I was doing before going to law school was contract administration. We worked with Stevie Ray Vaughan, Nancy Wilson, B.B. King, and
Mm,
you name it, anyone in blues, because these are the talent that they hired to do these various festivals. So from
right.
blues to jazz, eventually to R&B. And so pretty much what that was about was I'd already had a taste for the entertainment industry. I worked with my direct boss, her name was Alexa Birdsong, and she was the only person of color executive director.
Mm,
And so she eventually became the executive director for the longest time of the Essence Jazz Festival and of the Central Park Jazz Festival until that was taken over. And so I love what production meant. Any productions, even if I wasn't working with the project, I would ask them if I could go, and I would volunteer for all areas of things. I just love to soak in things and information. And so when I decided to leave, I went to law school right from there. So I left the job and then I went to law school. As I was in law school, I was working with a number of artists. And, because I knew so much, they were asking me to manage them and different things. And so there was an artist by the name of Gina Breedlove. And Gina Breedlove was like a folkish type of artist. And it turned out that she lived on the streets and she wound up living with an older woman. And the older woman used to be the secretary for Johanna Vigoda and Vigoda. And so Regina King's husband, his name was Ian Alexander, and Ian Alexander was an A&R at Warner Brother Records. And I said, I need you to hear my artist. I need you to hear my artist. He's someone I knew. And he came down, he watched her perform, and he decided he wanted to sign her to Warner Brothers. And so I went back and I said, we got an offer to get you a deal with Warner Brothers. And I said, but I'm not really qualified. And so Gina reached out to her friend. And when she reached out to her friend, she connected me with Johannan. And from there, I became his mentee. He says, you're doing a fabulous job. So I went out, I flew out to California. We had a couple of meetings, and I had a friend, his name is Navy Tuiosopula. He's a big Samoan guy. And so everyone knows him. And so he said, Jack, I don't care where you are, go to any stadium and mention my name, and they're going to let you in. And I happened to go to a show where Boys to Men were performing and I wanted to meet Wanye. I wanted him to work with this artist. And when I did, he says, I'm not really sure if I can capture a sound. He says, but I can introduce you to David Foster. I said, really? Would you do that? He said, yeah. He set up a meeting for me and David Foster, and David Foster loved her sound. I called Johannan, and he said, I'm going to let you negotiate this deal, and he just walked me through the art of artist negotiation when it came to
wow.
like a big contract and so on and so forth. And we were actually able to get $75,000 more on her recording budget because that's what one song at that time David Foster was charging just to produce one song. If you look back in the day, Timberland was up to about 250,000 with um, uh, Justin Timberlake. So if they're giving him a recording budget and every artist has to produce 10 songs, that means one album at 250K a pop is costing 2.5, assuming Timbaland is producing them all. So that's just to give you an idea of what the producers are coming in, taking from the projects. And during that time, they were getting points from the labels. And so that's how I really got into what it was to work with Johannan. And, anytime I had an issue, he would call me out. He lived in Silver Springs, Nevada, and I would go to his home. Navy knew him as well, and we would just chop it up. So that's kind of how I started working with Johannan. And Johannan is actually the cousin of the TV show star Fish, the big lurk. He kind of looked like the monster lurch. Fish is Johannan
Yeah.
Vigoda's first cousin. Yes,
Wow.
yeah. His name is Abe Vigoda.
Right.
Yep, Abe Vigoda, their first cousin.
Now you are a entertainment executive, an author, an artist, um,
Designer.
a producer, a designer. Where do you find the time? And wait a minute, did I read that you write poetry too?
Yeah, I just finished writing 4 children's books for our tribe. I'm writing my memoirs basically called Room 974 I Affirm, which was, I've had some really phenomenal cases as I've practiced law. I've had actually pro hoc vice admissions. That's when you get special admission to practice in other states. And so I've done 2 international cases. One was a Securities and Exchange case with the SEC, an SEC executive director for Cadbury of London. My law partner and I, about between 2003 and 2004, we ventured out to South Africa, and we actually opened up a restaurant. And we
Mm.
went out, visited it in 2003. She had been working for the Constitutional Court in Johannesburg, and we went out there in 2003, in December 2003. I said, I love it. Let's do this. Everyone thought we were crazy. Everyone. How are you going to walk away from law? But we weren't walking away. We were just following our hearts. And in 2004, we took the funds out there. We found a place in a area of Johannesburg called Sandton, SandT town, Sandtown. And it was right
Hmm.
in the heart of Johannesburg. And we opened up a restaurant. It was called Rhythms Restaurant. We had the largest humidor in all of Johannesburg. Our menu were some of the national dishes from around the diaspora, Cape Verdean, uh, uh, American soul food, um, Caribbean, Nigerian, jollof rice, and so on and so forth. And so we kept rhythms to about early 2007, and we had an incident that took place we couldn't recover from. And the
Okay.
incident was someone came in, they robbed all of our patrons, and they pistol whipped some of them. And so it
Mm.
was the American restaurant that made you vulnerable. And so my law partner literally never really came back. When we left, she took her 9-year-old daughter. Her daughter graduated from junior college at 16 out of
Mm.
a institution in Swaziland. She came here, went to her mother's alma mater to finish her last 2 years, but she's starting her first year of college at 16. And my law partner literally never came back. She's a famous professor now in Johannesburg, and so, finding time to do something is really making the time and managing the time. Yes, I do
Right.
a lot. We haven't even gotten into what it is that I do now. And I do a lot. I service a lot of people. I teach a lot of people. Um, we run a tribal court. We run a tribal university. I have a tremendous team of people that I work with. Um, and I have some awesome students that literally I can see their level of growth and what it is for them to learn what they need so that they can help others. Now, when I say tribal, we're really talking about indigenous people. We're talking about people that look like you and myself that don't really have an understanding of who we are as the indigenous people to this land. And
Right.
and so because of that, you know, you look at TikTok and Instagram, they call us pretendians, but literally my tribe can trace back their lineage over 40,000 years ago. This
Mm.
area, this area between Florida up to the South Carolinas over to Mississippi, Tennessee was known as Guale, Guale. Guale. Guale encompassed many, many various tribes. Right now, I kind of serve as one of the chief of staff, chief aide to our tribal government. Um, and I was appointed as the chief administrative justice of our tribal court, Royal Tribal Supreme Council Court. We run a university, Royal Tribal University, and when I tell you, I also make time. I kind of have to do it, to be honest, because I need that balance. I can't be all academic all the time. So I need time to design. I need time to write. I need time to design. Almost all the materials you see that come through us, seals, flyers, whatever, I have to do that. And when you look at Rainbow Fashion Week, literally all that you saw for all of the various productions, I could not afford to pay someone to create all of that type of content. Every show had its own individual identity. And so as a
Wow.
result, I had to teach myself. And that's what I spent a lot of time doing. I spent a lot of time teaching myself, keeping up with the advancements of technology, and I have this thing where I laugh sometimes and I tell our students, I said, I'm older than almost all of y'all. I said, and why is it that I'm teaching you guys some of the fundamental things y'all should be teaching me, and everybody gets quiet? I said, there's nothing you cannot teach yourself.
Right.
Someone has had that same problem somewhere, and watch when you go to Google, someone's done a video, someone's asked a question, someone's answered the question, and someone's going to show you how to do it. And really, it's us learning to equip ourselves with the tools. The tools are there, but we tend to shy away from them. And you know, really our job now as the elders is preparing our children. I work with an imprint,
Hmm.
yeah, her name is Redbird, and she just thinks of 7 generations. What is it for us to prepare for those 7 generations? And really that our focus has to be on the children. And so that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, no matter what I do. I'm passionate
Okay.
and I can put the most of myself into it. And now I can do what's called time management.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a designer. How did you get into the designing from, that's a big change from being an attorney to being a designer.
Now, see, I told you when I was in law school, so I can draw, I can sing,
Okay.
I can write. I'm a creative, I'm a Gemini. So I designed jeans in law school. I designed t-shirts, and those I hand painted. I drew, hand painted them. I had actually
Mm.
created an alphabet uh, with the figures of of human beings. So an A was a human being stretched over. This is 1990, guys. K was this, with the legs down, and this like this. And so people
Right.
would just be marveled. And then I would take the head of the shape of Africa created through the letters. So the letters ran right through the head. And then I designed the shape of Africa where she had a turban. I put the lips, and people would just go crazy. And back then, people paid me anywhere between $75 and $125 for a pair of jeans that I got from the thrift store, and bleached one
Wow.
side and design. And so my grandmother taught me to sew. My mother continued in that,
Okay.
and it's actually in my bloodline what it is to be master clothiers. My dad is from Cuba. His father was a gent, and that's all they did was dress. I don't care if they were doing the simplest recreational type of something. Attire was just the preeminence of existence. And so they
Mm-hmm.
sat down sharp, straw hat, whatever. And so I actually started creating bow ties, and I created bow ties through a recycling process. And through the process of recycling, I could take one long tie and create four ties. And then I began to enhance the ties. I began to put jewels on them. I began to mix and match patterns, and people would see them. They would go, "Oh my goodness." I would take $100 bills and use the full $100 bills, and cut Louis Vuitton old bags and things, and I would sell a tie for like $250. And so people would just be marveled at what I could see, but I could see beyond what someone would see. Someone else would throw it away or discard it, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, that's an awesome pattern." And so as I began to see more than the average person could see, it assisted me as I began to focus on the next part, which were vests. And I started working on a series of vests. And as I worked on the series of vests, I wanted the back of the vest to be unique. And I actually went out and found the material of when the priests had their robes, and then they had this beautiful long red and gold or purple and gold. I don't know what the material was, but I found it, and I started
Mm-hmm.
emblazing it on the back of the vest. And I would mix it with like polka dots and pinstripes, and people were like, "Oh my God, that combination is beautiful." And then ultimately, I started working on what I call the 4321 suit. And it is a suit that is meant to take you from formal to business to casual to play. And it is a suit jacket, a beautiful vest, um, cuff trouser shorts that come to the knee. Got that from my granddad, and full length trouser pants. One of my sons actually got me interested in the vest, so I got to give him credit for that. He had a lot of ideas, but he just never did anything with it. And the next thing he knew, he saw me. He's like, "Wow, you really took this." I said, "Yeah." And from there, you know, I created one of the largest types of fashion brands in New York City. We got a proclamation from the mayor. Literally, our first year out, I had a phenomenal publicist I was working with. Her name is Fabian Burrell. And she did what she needed to do to get me in the right places and to get me the visibility that I needed. But interestingly enough, I wanted to stay behind the scenes. And for the first 3 years, people thought I was the sweeper, the cleaner that's coming in because I was always maintaining things so that at the end of a show, it's not overwhelming. And when people would say, "I'm looking for Jaguar," they're like, "That's Jag right there." They said, "The person that's picking up trash is Jaguar." And I said, "Yep, that's Jaguar." And so I love what it meant to be behind the scenes. I'm an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
Introverted extrovert. I don't like being in front of people, but what you see now, I had to train myself to do. You could take
Okay.
me, put me anywhere in solitude, I'm good. But that's actually how it was never a transition from me getting to law school. It's something I did straight from there and continued to do it. And it was because my brain needed to continue to do.
Now, you mentioned your New York fashion event. It's become an 8-day event. It's known as pre-Pride event.
Mhm.
And you were the first to feature a double mastectomy person to walk the runway.
Yes. It was two. It was two double mastectomy breast cancer survivors. So we did a show. It dealt with body dysmorphia. All of my shows have themes, and all of the themes have some type of social component. So
Okay.
we could be talking about a children's show. If we were talking about a children's show, their social component was child abuse. If it was the pet fashion show, the component to that was um, recycling dog poop so that it could become fertilizers for the tree beds in New York City instead of
Oh,
just putting poop and going everywhere. So we had worked with partners to find biodegradable bags. And so if we did a show, that's what the social component was. We had a show called Top New Media Moguls. And Top New Media Moguls, we highlighted the people in the literary and television and so forth industry and what they had done in contributing to their societal works. And we honored our elders. And we went and I fixed this van, and it was a beauty van, and we would kind of adopt a nursing home, and we would go and have a glam squad go out. We pick models,
ooh,
and we would get 60, 70, 80 year olds. We would pick them up. They got their hair done, we would dress them up, and they were the fashion show for the night. So we would find
wow.
designers that could dress this group. So literally every show had a social component. We wanted to show people we can't forget our elders. They're aging, they're losing
Yes.
their partners, and what happens during the celebratory time, you guys are forgetting about them. No, we want to embrace them, and we want to show them the love that we should, because they're the trailblazers. You and I are the
Yes.
trailblazers, you know?
Yes.
And so that's what we wanted to show them. And so we did a show at the West Elm in New York, and it's a store that had a 17th Street side and an 18th Street side. And I went to the manager, general manager, and I told him about the fashion event, and he loved it. And so he decided to give us the 17th Street side of the store. I said, I'm going to need more. I'm going to need the windows on the 17th side and 18th Street side. He says, really? I said, yeah, I want to do live window installations. Our models are going to be there wearing the designer garbs live, and they're going to rotate. That's how people are going to see the show. So actually, the fashion shows that I presented were live installations. People got to see the art of fashion, not just the model coming down the runway and going back, and the fashion designer doing this at the end. People got to see the talent that was behind the scenes, which is why we use the hashtag the art of fashion. And so what
Okay.
it meant to do hair. So we had a hair show, and there was a show for every aspect of what someone was doing. So when we came up with the show and the theme was body dysmorphia, we found a designer that did underwear. And so when I cast it, I told people what I was looking, and I actually told the designer. And I said, "Are you going to be offended if I have these two women that have no breasts walk down the runway?" And the next thing I knew, the next morning, someone called me and said, "Jag, Huffington Post UK picked up your story." I said, "What story?" They said the title reads, uh, you know, double mastectomy breast cancer survivors walks the runway, Rainbow Fashion Week. And it hit the UK before it hit the United States. The Associated Press picked up the story from the UK, and then I started seeing the circulation of it here in the United States. So
Wow.
our brand became known as the pioneers. We were the first to introduce carbon neutral fashion events, period. We reduced our carbon footprints by 31% with our backstage productions. And so I had an electrician. I said, "I need you to help me create marine battery generators." And so we were doing things that no one was doing. We were called the cleanest catwalk. Um, I actually our brand got invited to Nepal from the Dalai Lama after we attended an event at the Hudson Institute, where they were dealing with the destruction of the glaciers on the Himalayan mountains, and they had speakers from Pakistan and China and Nepal, and so after they and this was Robert Kennedy that did this, and so they did a Q&A and everything. Everybody's introducing themselves, and I'm saying to myself, what am I doing here? And this guy asked a question, and when he asked the question, he said, "What can someone like I do?" And when I heard his question, Spirit told me to get up. And after he spoke, I said, "Whatever it is you do, do what you love and make a difference within that." And I started telling them about the fashion brand and what we do and what our objective was, and how I had found out from the executive director of the Waterkeepers Alliance, which was a Robert Kennedy entity. The executive director was sitting to my left at this table of 10, and she told me that the textile industry was the second largest polluter of our global water system.
Mm.
And I went home and I rewrote our mission statement. And I found our social purpose when I found there's an area, I forgot what part of Asia it's in, but everyone is blue. All of the people are blue. Their water systems are blue. Everything that comes out is from this indigo dye. It is in their lungs, so on and so forth. And I began to bring awareness what it means for us to purchase one pair of jeans, what it created for those people that had to make it, how many gallons of water. It takes over 100 gallons of water to create one pair of denim jean. And what would it
Wow.
mean for us to do a recycle, repurpose, reuse? And so we came up with a show behind that, which was called exactly that, recycle, repurpose, reuse. And we challenge designers, don't go out and buy anything new. I don't want you to buy new zippers. I don't want you to buy new materials. Go to the garment district, find shredded stuff, go to thrift stores and so forth. And it was one of our most successful shows.
Wow. 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 You just took my breath away. I
Mhm.
mean, I never heard of that before. And I never knew how much waste come from a show. That is amazing.
Mhm.
Wow. So how many schools do you have? I mean, you have the one in Ghana, right?
So the school that we have in Ghana, We don't run the school anymore, but so I was hired in 2009 to produce the first Ghana International Music Festival. Um, Nothing of its kind existed. And one of the people, my team members at the time, she's actually still there. Her name is Ofi Kojo. She's the first cousin of Boris Kojo, who's married to Nicole Parker, the actress.
Okay,
Those two are
yeah.
big actors. Um,
Yeah.
and so uh, her mom had given her some land, and we realized it was just a very misogynistic type of thing we were dealing with as we're going out and doing things and how we were treated and so forth. So I went out about a week ahead to and stayed in what's called the Volta region. It is the mountain regions where they make like what would be considered like Poland spring water. So it's this
Okay.
beautiful water that's coming down and they sell it, and it's called Volta and VOLTA. So the Volta region is up in an area called Hohoi, and Hohoi is outside of Accra, Ghana. And so when I got there, they had made all these special accommodations, and I literally thought I was gonna die. What they
Mm.
considered upscale for someone like me was so substandard. I mean, I'm laying in a room and I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, I'm smelling things. They got two beds pulled together, but it has a full so and so. Uh, the restroom is actually in the room. So when you look at how certain conditions existed for them, they were extremely poor. That was the first thing. So the mental
Okay.
state of someone saying, "We'll make your accommodations," it was elevated for them, but not for someone like me coming with what my global experience had been. Period.
Right.
I don't care if I just grew up in the ghetto, it was that much more advanced.
Wow.
So I stayed there for 7 days and I prayed because I had never experienced what that was, what it was to live that, but I knew it was something that spirit meant for me to experience. And when my team finally got there, it was like, well, Jag, what are we going to do? And so I said, we're going to adopt this village. And as we go and we begin to promote the music festival, we're going to purchase 1,000 cardboard press bicycles and we're going to hire them as our vendors. They're going to build little boxes. They're going to sell telecoms. They're going to sell drinks. They're going to sell ice creams, boiled eggs, all of the things that they call treats. And they're going to be our us outside vendors. The reason we needed outside vendors is because most of the majority of the people could not afford to be inside the venue.
Okay.
So the level of people that could afford that was much different. So I said, we're going to adopt this village. And when we're going to adopt the village, what we learned was they had the children there that Oprah Winfrey did a story about, which were called the fisherman's children. And these children were taken at age 6 through 9, and they were literally sold from their families to these fishermen because the fishermen needed children with small hands to dive down and unravel the nets that were caught up with different types of debris and the wrong types of seafarers and things, and a large hand couldn't do it. They needed tiny pinkies and so forth. And these children had developed all kind of respiratory issues, but money was being sent back to the family. And when we look at third world countries, that was what the primary experience was with why people could take advantage of groups of people because the parents had no money. They could barely afford to take care of the children. And if now the child could be the provider, this is a good thing. So I called it slavery. The parents are selling off the
Yeah.
children because the children
Yeah.
weren't receiving any education. There was nothing that was really there. And these were the children from this area that were engaged in this type of work. And so I let my team know about it. And I told them, I said, we're going to adopt this village. And when we decided to adopt this village, I had some people here in the United States. And I said, all those computers that Citibank and Chase and all these banks always throwing away and trashing. I said, first generation, this is great here because they can't afford a CPU or a printer or whatever. And we did a fundraiser and we got a big, what do you call those big metal shipping containers, and we've had all kind of donations, medicines, clothes, everything, and we built the first computer school there with just donated materials.
Wow.
And it was interesting as we were going around soliciting with like Echo Bank and the big radio stations out there, and we said we'd like to put pedometers on these bicycles and we'd like for you to pay for adverts, which were advertisements. They use a lot of English terms, which are adverts. And so the pedometer is going to measure the amount of miles that they are driving around advertising for your companies. And you know what those people said?
What?
Why would you do that? For what? Why would we pay for them to do that? I
Oh,
said, so because literally this is what it was like. The average person is living on about 10 cents a day.
oh,
The average person, if they have a job, is making anywhere between $30 to $40 for the month.
wow.
I facilitated the head of the house and starting his own farm for $200. And when people are telling me, Jack, don't talk to the staff, I'm like, what do you mean don't talk to the staff? These people look just like me. I had another one, which was one of my sons, I call him. He started a recycling business with $150 that I gave to him as a wedding gift. And when he wrote back and said, Ma, I started a business. Thank you so much. We brought some of the children into the city and we dressed them up with khakis, shoes. We had actual polos made for them because all students had to have their uniforms made. And so we had polos made for the boys and we had our own insignia made and we taught them how to be our messengers. And we sent them into the cities and they would come back sometimes crushed because they would be turned away. And so finally we had to teach them, we had to teach them how to hold their heads up and how to come back with a positive experience, not taking no for an answer, because that's
Right.
typically how they would treat them. And so, so that was one school that we did. And the second school that we did, Ofi Kojo, her mom had given her some land. And so we built the first administrative school for girls there. And when we were designing it, the architects would come and everything is like concrete with like jailhouse yellow and green. I'm like, nope. We want glass. We want skin from animals. So we had various types of skins from exotic animals. We had hand carvings that opened doors. Now, it wasn't as elaborate as it sounds, but when we looked at what a door would be, when we looked at what a reception area could look like, it was more of me bringing things in that I saw than how they would do finishings on things. And so
Right.
those are the two institutions that we left. We don't manage them now. Ofi is still there. Her name is Ofi Kojo. She's a jazz singer now. She and I share the same birth dates, and she's doing her thing now. And she stayed. She never came back. She was a first generation Ghanaian American. But after that, she never came back as well. I don't know why I'm the only one that's come back here because it seems everybody else is doing well abroad.
So, what are your plans for the next 5 years?
Next 5 years.
Where do you
Okay.
see yourself?
All right. So, what I see that we're going to accomplish within the next 5 years is going to be tremendous work in the redevelopment of our communities.
Okay.
And so the redevelopment of our communities is going to encompass the things that we need to set in place for our children to be equipped with what it is for them to continue their legacies. So within 5 years, we're going to have mastered various aspects of banking. What does that look like for ourselves? What does it
Mm-hmm.
mean for us to do cooperative economics? We've started a cooperative through our university and our court system. So we established a cooperative economic group where we're teaching each other what it is for us to do business amongst ourselves. And
Okay.
in the next 6 months, we're going to have the level of success that we're going to be able to go out and begin to follow our missions, our ministries. And our ministries are being operated through what's called the self-supported ministry. The self-supported ministry is the superior instrumentality out there, better than a 501c3, better than a 508, better than any other entity, a trust. It allows the common person to do the work that God divinely inspired them to do
Mm.
out the IRS up their backs, neck, the crack of their butts, and so on and so forth. There's no filing requirement, so you don't have to notify the Secretary of State. You don't have to first create an incorporation. And it allows you to do the business that God created you to do. If I spend the next 5 years teaching people about what it is to operate in their divinity, then I can tell the Great Spirit I am ready to go. I've already traveled the world.
Mm.
I've seen many places. I used to send Japan talent to Japan, Osaka, Nagoya, Yokohama, Tokyo. I've been on the bullet train. Okay. I've been to
Mm.
Phuket. I've traveled the world. So I'm not at a point that I got to retire to go see things. I've seen things. So if the next 5 years allows me to help people live in their divinity, then I believe that one of the things the Great Spirit has imparted within me to do, then I've fulfilled in being obedient. And so that's what my focus is going to be on for the next 5 years.
How can people contact you to join one of your missions or one of your schools or anything like that?
Okay, so we have a number of website. So the Royal Tribal University, all three words, Royal Tribal University.org, royaltribaluniversity.org. Um, that's our university. You'll get information on what it is that we teach. We just finished doing an entire process server class where you actually get a certification. We're about to do a chaplaincy class, which is going to be 4 weeks, and it's chaplaincy and crisis management, where you're going to get a certification. We have probably about 60 notaries. So we have tribal notaries. They went through their first and second stage of what it is. We notarize documents all over the United States. We're not limited to one state. So we actually have
Mm.
certification programs within our university that you can use out there that you can do things with. The 5 months, really the 6 months that our students spend with us, they eventually get a certification as a law advocate. And that came about because we tried to get into one of these organizations where they had funding to teach us, but we don't look like who they call the Indian. The
Okay.
modern day Native American has taken our identity. And if I have the opportunity to spend time with you guys in the future, we're going to kind of get into that. But
Okay.
I dispelled that myth with AI, and we actually taught it in our class. I have a video on the Royal Tribal University website, and if you get a chance, take a look at it. It's about 3.5 minutes, and I get an apology back from AI by giving us misinformation and sourcing the wrong information that has already been, deceptively placed within the scope of what we call the academic world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so and um, I run a primordial law firm. Most people can't spell primordial, but if you ask ChatGPT to spell it, primordial law firm at Gmail, you can reach me directly. But pretty much if through either the court or the university, they can get a message to me and we can just take it.
Okay. I have enjoyed talking to you. I have learned so much. You are so intelligent, so accomplished. I have to give you your props. If I had a Grammy, I'd give it to you.
Thank you.
Because I have to thank you for doing the work that you are doing and that you have done for people who look like us. I mean, I've never met anyone like you. I probably never will again. You have done and you do so much for people like us and the LGBTQ plus community and children. I mean, if no one ever told you, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to speaking to you again. Is there anything that we left out?
Probably there's many things that we left out, but you guys invite me back. Listen, our job is to teach and to train. And
Yes.
yes, I come with a wealth of knowledge, but that's because that is one of my gifts from the Great Spirit. I can take a complicated situation and break it down that the average person can now feel they can participate in it. And that becomes important because so
It
much
is.
has been put over our head. We've been so dumbed down with what it is for us to collect information. How do we process it and so forth? Not just that, but the utility of it. We don't know how to go out and apply it to something because they teach us one set of rules and they teach themselves and their children another set of rules. So I would love to come back so that we can learn more about, oh, I forgot, self-supportedministry.com.
Okay.
Self-supportedministry.com.
Okay.
Everyone needs to have a self-supported ministry. We should be operating through our ministries. We can save our homes through that by making a conveyance, gifting our home to our ministry. I can teach you so much within a short frame of time of how we can protect our assets. We have to learn how to protect the assets that we acquire because they so quickly target us to take it away. So
Yes. Amen.
self-supportedministry.com, please, guys. I hope I get some time to spend with you guys on another time. Sorry I didn't get to spend it, but I enjoyed you. Tawan told me I would
Thank
enjoy
you.
you as a host, so I enjoyed you as much. And you were quite engaging, came very well equipped and prepared, and so thank you as well.
No, thank you. I really appreciate the time you gave us and the information, and you're so informative. And I look forward to speaking with you again. This is Queen V with KFSM, Jaguar Beckford, the most accomplished persons I've ever met in my life. You're so engaging and so intelligent. I'd give you, oh my God, the stars and above. You're beyond the honorable mention. because you're just, oh my gosh. I thank you so much for all that you do. I really do. Praise God for you. Yes, thank you. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for spending it with me as well.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for taking time to listen to us and our interview and join us again with Queen V with KFSM Radio. Lewis, you can take it from here.
What's up, this Jay-Z.
Hey yo, this is Eminem.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Drizzy Drake.
Yo, what's up? This is Usher. This is Big Snoop D-O-double-G.
Man, it's your boy T Scoop.
You know it's some GS boys.
Yeah, man, it's Spice One.
This is your boy, Bad Boy Billy Slide.
Hey, yo, wings up. This your boy, Juris.
Yo, what up? It's the one and only Murphy Lee.
Yo, this your boy B Mac Banks.
That's right, it's your boy Havoc the Mouthpiece from the South Central Cartel.
This is Steve Arrington, a.k.a. The Invade, only on KFSM Radio.
KSFM Radio.
On KFSM.
KFSM Radio.
KFSM Radio.
On KFSM Radio.
KFSM. It's your radio station. KFSM radio station. KFSM radio station. I'm tuning in.